All right, as test day approaches, there's always some questions that people have that when they're second guessing or they're hearing things from friends and they have these questions that are burning. And hopefully, this will give you some consensus on my thoughts and with the students I teach. This is hopefully the average of what the best ones say. So let's get into it. All right, number one, do I read passage or look for keywords in verbal reasoning? This is a question that's becoming more and more popular every year. And in my experience, if you're just about to sit the test in 2025, don't make any significant changes. Unless you have at least like 2 weeks to go, which by the time this goes out, no one will have. I would just stick to your current approach and then making small modifications rather than big scale changes. That is, of course, unless that, like, if you're really struggling and you think you're nowhere near the cutoff score and you just want to go for something completely different, then sure. But I generally would not recommend making any significant changes so close to your test date. If you're sitting the UCAT in 2026, 2027, go for it. Try as many things as you like. In my experience, some people will do better with the passages, some people will do better with the keywords. The best students that I have who are scoring highest, which would be 37, 38, 39 out of 44, they will generally do keyword searches for true, false, can't tell questions. And then for the reading comprehension questions, they'll read the passage first. However, when I say read the passage, you've only got like 120 seconds for 4 questions. And so it's actually really a 30 seconds read of that passage. So you're not really reading it carefully. You are sort of going at an adjusted speed to do sort of 30 seconds or 40 seconds read. And then you've got about 20 seconds for each of the questions. And you don't really have the time luxury to confirm them unless you, like, as in confirm and do the keyword question on top of the read, unless you know exactly where that keyword is. So it's quite a complicated approach, I think. And most people who do the passage reading first will struggle for time. So it is something that needs to be practiced quite a lot. Question 2, what order should I do the questions in for DM? So I'm hoping everyone now has done a few mocks and they know that the question types in DM have a set order, always goes syllogisms, puzzles, arguments, inference and interpreting, Venn diagrams, probability. I generally say that you don't want to run out of time on easy question type. So I think the cardinal sin is sort of having to guess probability and Venn diagrams because they're a bit quicker. So I would generally say find the question type for you that is hardest and most time consuming and do it last. For me, it's the inference and interpreting information questions. For most people, it's either that or the logical puzzles that they'll do at the end. Some people will do both of those at the end. And some people, do all sorts of things. They'll skip the syllogisms as well. They'll do the whole thing backwards, you name it. The main thing is try and finish on a hard time consuming question type. And that's catered to what your strengths and weaknesses are. Where do you get the, I guess, least bang for buck in terms of time spent and average marks? And for most people, it's one or both of the puzzles and the inference questions. Finally, why is everyone scoring 900 in QR? So there's a few factors behind this. I think sometimes if there's a difference in quality between the questions on the actual test, between the questions on the platforms people practice on, Metafy and Entry, then it makes people more likely to do well. So for example, if you're used to doing, quite hard, complicated questions on Metafy and Entry, and the actual test ends up, you find it easier than what you've been practicing on, then you're more likely to do well and score higher. It's like if you give a year 10, a year 9 level maths test, they should be able to do well with that. Not everyone finds that's the case. Some people do find the actual quantitative a little bit tricky, but most people by and large will find it slightly easier, which leads to higher scores. And if they make it with less tricks, etc., it is probably it's generally speaking the highest scoring subtest out of everyone. But I think the main factor is most of the scores people see online on Discord, Reddit, etc., are the scores of people who are doing really well and happy to post their scores. And there's a quote that was initially circulating around the UCAT space probably 5 years ago, but it's still stuck with me, is that the history is written by the winners. And so the people who are posting online are the people who've done well. You're not going to see many posts of people who score in the 30th, 40th, 70th percentile. And so yes, the scores can seem really high, but they seem high every year. Last year there were people getting 3,400s, 3,500s, but realistically you could get in with a 3,200. So you're not like you don't have to get these sort of scores. You don't have to get 900 QR to get in, but this is just what the top echelon of people who are happy to post are getting. So try not to put too much of a pressure on yourself and think, oh, if I don't get 100%, like this is over. There's a few factors. Maybe the actual test is slightly easier than the practice material. People generally post if they are more happy with their scores, and ultimately focus on what you can control, which is finishing all the questions, avoiding the silly mistakes, and skipping as soon as you make an error, and managing your time and not spending too long on one particular question. And if you get the basics right that you've learned from your practice, if you apply them across all three sections, you control what you control and you put the best foot forward, I think you can be pretty proud of the effort that you manifest on test day. If you're serious about getting a good score, putting in, whether it be you have 1 month to go or 1 year to go, it's important with the UCAT to get yourself equipped with the best resource possible, because you need to be in the top 5 to 10%. So the first thing you should do is click the link in the description. This will give you access to my inner circle where I provide exclusive resources. The first of these is free PDFs. I every week will send out a free PDF covering some of my best strategies in each section. And so these include things like question types and key factors that you can consider. Additionally, by clicking out the link in the description, we can have a free one-on-one call where I give you my approach to practicing the UCAT and give you some advice and some free mentorship on how you can do well with this test and what it's like once you're in med. Furthermore, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for this to be the biggest area of free UCAT resources available, with videos, PDFs, and free calls. And so why not get your hands on these resources that have helped me and others get into med? Please do me a favor and share this with others if you found it helpful, and stay tuned for more videos on this channel. Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you next time.